Long before Israel was born, before Abraham heard the voice that called him from Ur, the name of Yahweh echoed through forgotten valleys and across ancient altars now buried in time. Who were these early worshippers? People who called on the one true God without a covenant, temple, or Torah. Scattered across lands not yet marked holy, they built altars in silence, offered sacrifices in faith, and whispered Yahweh's name in deserts and mountains. They had no nation, yet they knew his power. History forgot them, but scripture left shadows, faint footprints of their devotion. Who taught them? How did they learn his name? Were they prophets, priests, or seekers stumbling upon divine light? This mystery challenges everything we assume about divine revelation. If Yahweh was known before Abraham, then the story of God's relationship with humanity is far older, deeper, and more widespread than we ever imagined. The forgotten must be remembered. But before we dive deeper into this chilling journey, please make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it with others, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our next inspiring and revealing stories. Long before Israel bore the name of God's chosen nation, the divine name Yahweh was not unknown. It drifted through ancient civilizations like a sacred whisper, spoken in hidden places, etched into early languages, and remembered by a few faithful souls. Tracing the name Yahweh before Israel's founding leads us deep into the world of pre-Abrahamic worshippers, men and women without a law, without a tabernacle, yet somehow drawn to the same holy presence. In the lineage of Noah, in the silent faith of Job, in Melchizedek's priesthood, we glimpse fragments of his name, unrecorded by history but not by heaven. Even Moses, when standing before the burning bush, did not hear Yahweh for the first time, but rather received a reintroduction to a name ancient and eternal. This chapter pulls back the curtain on a God who was never absent, only veiled, revealing a worship far older than we imagined. In the cradle of civilization, Mesopotamia, Sumer, and the Proto-Semitic world, humanity birthed cities, languages, and gods. Yet among the many deities carved into stone and worshipped in towering ziggurats, faint traces of a higher nameless supreme being emerge, one who bore similarities to Yahweh. These ancient cultures teemed with myths of a Most High, a creator above all others, often described as unseeable, sovereign, and eternal. Could it be that remnants of Yahweh's identity lingered in these early beliefs, later distorted through idol worship and polytheism? Linguists and historians have uncovered words and divine titles in early Semitic texts that resemble Yahweh's essence, hidden beneath layers of syncretism and forgotten lore. Before Israel, before Abraham, these early peoples may have glimpsed his glory through veiled truths. Yahweh was not absent. He was known in part, revealed subtly to hearts that searched for the divine beyond idols, yearning for a name they couldn't yet fully grasp. Amid ancient kingdoms and forgotten altars stands a figure cloaked in mystery, Melchizedek, the priest king of Salem. He appears without origin, genealogy, or recorded lineage, yet he worships El Elyon, the Most High God, a title intimately linked with Yahweh. When Abraham meets him, he offers tithes, not to a pagan priest, but to one who somehow already knows the God of heaven. How? Who taught him? Melchizedek speaks of the same divine authority later revealed to Moses, centuries before Israel's covenant even existed. He blesses Abraham in Yahweh's name, unmistakably recognizing the one true God. Was he a surviving priest of an ancient Yahweh-worshipping order? A divine envoy? Or a symbol of a forgotten global priesthood that once knew the Creator? His presence disrupts our assumptions, suggesting that Yahweh's worship wasn't born with Israel, but preserved through mysterious figures like Melchizedek, standing as a bridge between forgotten revelation and chosen nation. Before Israel carried his name, Yahweh moved in shadows, subtle, unrecognized, yet ever-present. His voice stirred the hearts of forgotten patriarchs, his presence hovered over unknown altars, and his justice echoed in lands unmarked by covenant. The world knew fragments, a righteous judge, a powerful creator, a Most High unseen by idols. Though the spotlight of history had not yet turned toward Israel, Yahweh was not silent. He walked with Enoch, warned Noah, received sacrifices from Abel, and was honored by kings like Melchizedek. These glimpses form a silhouette, a shadow of divine relationship before the nation was formed. It wasn't Israel that made Yahweh known, it was Yahweh who had already been reaching, revealing, calling. His worship predates temples, laws, and lineage. And in those shadowed days when the world saw only glimpses, he was patiently preparing to step into the light, through a people, a promise, and a name that would shake the earth. Who was Melchizedek, this mysterious king of Salem, who emerged without warning, without lineage, without end. He appears suddenly, blesses Abraham, receives tithes, then vanishes into sacred mystery. No father, no mother, no recorded ancestry. Yet he is called a priest of the Most High God, centuries before Aaron's line even existed. How did he know Yahweh so intimately? Why did Abraham, chosen by God himself, honor him? Scripture calls him a priest forever, a symbol of something eternal, divine, unshaken by time or tribe. Some say he was a righteous king, others believe he was a divine manifestation, perhaps even a pre-incarnate Christ. But one truth remains: Melchizedek's existence shatters religious assumptions. He proves Yahweh's reach extended beyond Israel, touching lives long before laws were given. His shadow stretches across covenants, pointing to a deeper priesthood, one rooted not in bloodlines, but in eternal purpose. His mystery still stirs the soul. Why did Abraham, the man called by God, bow in reverence and offer a tenth of all he had to Melchizedek, a man with no recorded past, no tribal connection, no prophetic calling we know of? This act was not random. It was a profound acknowledgement of spiritual authority. Abraham recognized something divine in Melchizedek, something beyond human titles. This priest-king spoke blessings in the name of El Elyon, the Most High God, the same God Abraham followed. By tithing, Abraham wasn't just giving wealth. He was submitting to a greater priesthood, one that existed before Israel, before Levi, before the law. This moment proved that Yahweh's presence and power weren't limited to Abraham's journey. Melchizedek stood as a living testimony that God had already planted seeds of worship across the earth. Abraham's tithe was an act of honor, surrender, and spiritual recognition, a sign that Melchizedek wasn't ordinary, but divinely appointed. Was Melchizedek a prophet sent to guide? A divine figure in human form? Or an eternal priest whose origin defies human understanding? Scripture gives no lineage, no beginning, no end, only titles that stir deep wonder: King of Righteousness, King of Peace, Priest of the Most High God. He blesses Abraham, speaks with divine authority, and disappears without death or successor. Some believe he was a prophet, carrying ancient knowledge of Yahweh before Israel's time. Others see a theophany, a divine appearance of Yahweh himself, or a pre-incarnate Christ cloaked in human flesh. Hebrews calls him a priest forever, likened to Jesus, not by lineage but by eternal nature. Melchizedek's mystery isn't just about identity. It's about revealing a deeper truth. Yahweh's priesthood didn't begin with Israel. It was already present, timeless, active. Whether man, angel, or God himself, Melchizedek stands as a divine interruption, a holy enigma wrapped in eternity. Melchizedek's titles, King of Righteousness and King of Peace, are more than royal designations. They are spiritual revelations. In Hebrew, Melchizedek literally means "my king is righteousness." This title unveils a ruler who does not merely enforce justice but embodies righteousness itself, a king whose reign is grounded in divine moral perfection. His second title, King of Salem, ties him to Shalom, meaning peace, wholeness, and harmony. Together, these names form a powerful prophetic image, a priestly king who rules through righteousness and brings true peace, not by war or politics, but by spiritual authority. These are the very qualities later fulfilled in Jesus Christ, described in Hebrews as a priest in the order of Melchizedek. Long before the cross, Melchizedek's titles whispered a coming reality. Yahweh's true representative would not only rule, but restore. Righteousness and peace, perfectly joined, tell us Melchizedek wasn't just a man. He was a mirror of the divine. After the floodwaters receded, a broken world rose anew, scarred yet hopeful. At the heart of this rebirth stood Noah, a man chosen for righteousness, who carried the fragile flame of Yahweh's worship into a dark, chaotic age. Through Noah and his son Shem, the sacred knowledge of the one true God was passed, whispered across generations in tents, fields, and cities yet to be named. Their descendants wandered vast lands, yet held onto a covenant far older than nations: faith in Yahweh's justice and mercy. This lineage became a living bridge between a shattered past and the promised future. Even when darkness crept in, and idolatry spread like wildfire, the bloodline of Noah preserved a sacred trust, silent but steadfast. They worshipped without temples, without scrolls, only by heart and hope. This hidden devotion became the wellspring from which Abraham would one day drink, and from which Israel's story would emerge. Long before nations rose and borders were drawn, the knowledge of Yahweh spread quietly, carried by whispers of faithful hearts, shared stories, and sacred signs. Without temples or scriptures, Early worshippers passed down fragments of truth through family lines, oral traditions, and silent reverence under open skies. Travelers and traders became unexpected messengers, carrying tales of the one true God across deserts, rivers, and mountains. In the shadow of mighty empires, Sumer, Akkad, and Babylon, hidden pockets of Yahweh's worship survived, often misunderstood or overshadowed by idol worship. Yet, even amid polytheism, a persistent yearning for the Most High, the El Elyon lingered, connecting scattered tribes through faith's fragile thread. This ancient knowledge, though veiled and fragmented, sowed seeds of hope and justice, preparing the world for the covenant yet to come. The spread of Yahweh was not sudden. It was patient, subtle, and unstoppable, shaping humanity's deepest longing for the divine. Long before Israel's altars rose, sacred places were scattered across ancient lands, simple stones, burning fires, and whispered prayers marking humanity's search for the divine. These altars were silent witnesses to profound divine encounters, moments when heaven touched earth, and mortals felt the presence of Yahweh beyond borders and nations. Ancient oaths were sworn here, binding hearts to promises made in trembling faith. Patriarchs, wanderers, and kings knelt not in temples, but in open fields and rugged wilderness, reaching toward a God they could barely name but deeply trusted. These encounters shaped the spiritual landscape, revealing a God who was not confined to one people or place but present wherever hearts sought righteousness. They were early echoes of covenant, before laws, before Moses, reminders that Yahweh's relationship with humanity was timeless and universal. These altars still call us, inviting us to rediscover the faith of forgotten worshippers whose devotion transcended history. Among ancient lineages, a curious silence shrouds the name Yahweh, missing from some records, absent in stories where one might expect to find him. This silence is not mere oversight but a haunting mystery, signaling times when faith dimmed or was overshadowed by doubt, fear, or the lure of other gods. It reveals a world wrestling with belief, where the knowledge of Yahweh was known yet often rejected or forgotten. This gap in history speaks to the fragile nature of human devotion, the struggle to hold onto divine truth amid chaos and temptation. But silence also carries a powerful message. Even in absence, Yahweh's presence lingers, waiting patiently to be rediscovered. It invites us to ponder the cost of forgetting and the hope of restoration. In these quiet spaces, the story of faith's endurance is written, a testament to God's unwavering pursuit of a people willing to listen again. In a distant land far from Israel's borders lived Job, a man whose heart beat deeply with devotion to Yahweh, though he was no Israelite. His unwavering faith shines like a beacon amid suffering and doubt, proving that worship of the Most High was not confined to one nation. Job's story reveals a profound truth: intimacy with God transcends bloodlines and borders. Despite loss, pain, and unanswered questions, he clung to Yahweh with fierce loyalty, embodying righteousness in a world unfamiliar with covenant laws. His prayers rose from a foreign soil, yet reached the throne of heaven with undeniable power. Job's life shatters assumptions, showing that Yahweh sought worshippers beyond Israel, those who knew him by heart and lived in reverent obedience. His story challenges us. Can faith survive without familiarity? Job proves it can, revealing the universal call to know, trust, and worship the eternal God in every land and circumstance. The question lingers: was Job a descendant of Esau, rooted in the rugged line outside Israel, or a Gentile patriarch standing apart from Abraham's promise? Scriptures remain silent, fueling debate and deep curiosity. His homeland, Uz, lies beyond Israel's borders, hinting at a connection to Esau's scattered descendants, known for their strength and complexity. Yet, his intimate relationship with Yahweh suggests something greater, a divine invitation extended beyond chosen bloodlines. Whether Edomite kin or Gentile worshipper, Job embodies the profound truth that faith transcends heritage. His righteous suffering and unwavering trust break through ethnic boundaries, revealing Yahweh's universal reach. Job's story challenges narrow views of God's people, showing that devotion springs from the heart, not just ancestry. He stands as a living bridge between nations, histories, and the divine, reminding us that God's mercy and presence embrace all who seek him, no matter their origin or name. In Job's story, profound theological themes unfold. Sacrifice, divine counsel, and personal righteousness intertwine in a tapestry of faith tested by fire. His offerings were not mere rituals but heartfelt sacrifices, acts of devotion reaching beyond tradition, seeking to uphold justice for himself and his family. Yet beyond human efforts, divine counsel stirs in unseen realms, where God and heavenly beings converse about suffering, faith, and cosmic purpose. Job's trials are not random but part of a divine dialogue, revealing a God who governs with wisdom beyond human grasp. Through it all, personal righteousness shines brightest, not as perfection, but as steadfast trust amid despair, honesty in questioning, and unwavering loyalty despite pain. Job's journey teaches that true worship isn't blind obedience but a dynamic relationship where sacrifice meets divine mystery, and personal integrity becomes the ultimate act of faith. His story challenges us to hold fast, even when answers seem distant. Job's story shatters boundaries, revealing that Yahweh's worship stretches far beyond Israel, touching hearts in distant lands and diverse peoples. Though not an Israelite, Job's intimate connection with the Most High proves that faith is not confined by ethnicity or geography. His reverent prayers, sacrifices, and unwavering trust echo across nations, showing that Yahweh's presence is universal, inviting all who seek righteousness into his divine embrace. Job embodies the truth that God's reach is vast, spanning deserts, mountains, and cultures untouched by the law of Moses. This challenges assumptions that Yahweh was only for one people. Instead, his worshippers include righteous souls scattered throughout the ancient world, longing for justice, mercy, and communion with the divine. Job's legacy calls us to see God's kingdom as borderless, his love as limitless, and his call to worship as an invitation to every tribe, tongue, and nation on earth. Long before Moses received the law, Jethro, priest of Midian, stood as a mysterious guardian of Yahweh's worship, an unexpected figure illuminating faith outside Israel's borders. His priesthood challenges the notion that true worship began only with Sinai. Jethro's reverence for Yahweh reveals an ancient knowledge passed through generations, preserved in the desert's quiet places. As a Midianite leader, he bridged cultures, embodying a spiritual wisdom that welcomed God's guidance without written commands. His advice to Moses reflects not just political counsel but divine insight rooted in faith and experience. Jethro's presence whispers a profound truth: Yahweh's servants existed beyond Israel, worshiping faithfully in distant lands and shaping God's unfolding plan. His story invites us to reconsider the scope of divine revelation, showing that before laws were given, worship was alive, personal and transformative, a powerful testament to Yahweh's global, timeless presence. The question lingers in ancient whispers: did the Midianites once follow Yahweh? Hidden in dusty scrolls and fleeting traditions lies a startling possibility. This desert people, often seen as outsiders, may have held a sacred connection to the Most High God. Jethro, their priest and Moses' trusted advisor, stands as living proof that Yahweh's worship thrived beyond Israel's borders. Midianite faith was not a distant echo but a vibrant reality, blending tribal customs with reverence for Yahweh's justice and mercy. Their tents and altars became quiet sanctuaries where divine presence was sought amidst wilderness hardships. This revelation challenges assumptions, unveiling a forgotten chapter where Yahweh's grace extended to those beyond the covenant's initial scope. The Midianite story calls us to embrace a broader vision of God's people, a tapestry woven from diverse threads, united by faith's enduring power and the mystery of divine invitation. Moses' spiritual connection with Jethro reveals a profound bond that transcends culture and bloodline, rooted in shared reverence for Yahweh. In the wilderness, far from Egypt's grandeur, their relationship blossomed into a powerful alliance, one of wisdom, faith, and mutual respect. Jethro's priestly insight offered Moses guidance not only in leadership but in understanding God's ways beyond Israel's traditions. This connection bridged a gap between law and lived experience, showing that true spirituality thrives in dialogue and humility. Moses learned that divine wisdom often comes from unexpected sources, and Jethro's presence affirmed that Yahweh's covenant was not confined to one nation but touched many hearts. Their bond is a testament to God's inclusive reach, reminding us that faith grows strongest when nurtured through relationships, shared struggles, and the willingness to listen. Together, they embody the universal call to worship, serve, and lead with grace. Hidden in the shadows of history lie the forgotten tribes who once knew Yahweh, ancient peoples whose names faded but whose faith left an indelible mark on the spiritual landscape. These tribes worshipped the Most High long before Israel's rise, honoring him through simple altars, heartfelt prayers, and sacred traditions now lost to time. Their stories were swallowed by silence, their voices muted by the tides of conquest and exile. Yet, their devotion reveals a truth often overlooked: Yahweh's presence was never confined to one nation alone. These forgotten tribes carried the flame of divine worship across deserts, mountains, and rivers, connecting scattered souls in a shared longing for justice, mercy, and holiness. Remembering them invites us to reclaim a wider vision of God's family, a vast, ancient community whose faith bridged cultures and generations, whispering that Yahweh's love knows no boundaries and his call reaches every heart willing to listen. Balaam stands as a startling paradox, a prophet connected deeply to Yahweh, yet never part of Israel's chosen people. His story challenges everything we think about divine communication and God's reach. Though a foreign seer, Balaam heard the voice of Yahweh, delivering oracles charged with power and mystery. His life reveals that God's prophetic voice transcended ethnic boundaries, speaking through unexpected vessels in distant lands. Balaam's encounters unveil a divine reality where Yahweh's sovereignty stretched beyond Israel's borders, reaching into the hearts of outsiders called to participate in his unfolding plan. His ambiguous allegiance and profound revelations unsettle simple narratives, urging us to recognize God's complex, universal involvement in human history. Balaam's story invites viewers to reconsider what it means to be chosen, showing that prophecy, vision, and divine purpose can arise anywhere, even in the lives of those standing outside the covenant, yet bound mysteriously to Yahweh's will. The mystery of how non-Israelite seers received revelations from Yahweh invites us into a world where divine communication transcends nationality and culture. These prophets, often outsiders to Israel's covenant, accessed God's voice through dreams, visions, and sacred encounters that defied earthly boundaries. Their revelations came in moments of profound solitude, storm, or divine intervention, times when the veil between heaven and earth thinned. Some heard Yahweh's words through angelic messengers, others through symbolic visions charged with cosmic meaning. This divine outreach reveals a God who refuses to be limited by human divisions, reaching out to the sincere and the searching wherever they dwell. It challenges the notion that prophecy was an exclusive gift, instead unveiling a universe where Yahweh's truth touches many, calling all who listen into his unfolding story. This profound inclusivity shakes assumptions and expands our understanding of divine grace and revelation. The existence of legitimate prophets outside of Israel shakes the foundation of traditional beliefs, unveiling a hidden spiritual reality. These seers, though not part of Israel's covenant, received authentic divine messages that shaped nations and histories. Their prophecies were not mere echoes but powerful communications from Yahweh, revealing God's justice, mercy, and plans on a broader canvas. Recognizing these prophets challenges narrow views, proving that God's voice was alive in foreign lands, guiding and warning even those beyond the promised land. Their legitimacy is witnessed in the profound impact of their words, echoing through time, influencing kings, peoples, and cultures. This revelation invites us to embrace a more expansive vision of prophecy, one that honors God's universal sovereignty and recognizes that divine truth flows freely wherever hearts open to receive it. It compels us to question who truly belongs to God's unfolding story and where his messengers may arise. The clash between divine truth and personal greed is a timeless battle that echoes through the pages of history and human hearts alike. Divine truth calls for justice, humility, and selfless obedience, demanding a surrender of selfish desires. Yet personal greed, with its insatiable hunger for power, wealth, and control, fights fiercely to drown out God's voice. This struggle fractures communities, corrupts leaders, and distorts worship into hollow rituals. In the stories of forgotten worshippers and prophets, we witness this dangerous tension, men and women torn between serving Yahweh faithfully and succumbing to greed's seductive allure. The clash exposes the vulnerability of faith, revealing how easily divine purposes can be twisted or silenced by ambition. But it also sparks a desperate hope that truth, though battered, endures, waiting for hearts brave enough to choose righteousness over gain and worship over selfishness, in a world yearning for redemption. The moment when the name Yahweh was first revealed is a profound mystery that stirs the soul. This sacred name, echoing with power and holiness, marks a divine unveiling unlike any other. It wasn't merely a title, it was a living revelation of God's eternal presence, self-existence, and covenantal faithfulness. Tracing its origins leads us deep into ancient times, before the chosen nation of Israel emerged, where whispers of this name echoed in secret circles, priestly rites, and divine encounters. The revelation of Yahweh shattered silence, inviting humanity into a personal, intimate relationship with the Creator. This name carried the weight of promise, justice, and mercy, binding God to his people in an unbreakable bond. Understanding when and how Yahweh became known unlocks the heart of worship itself, revealing the moment God stepped beyond mystery into the light of human history, forever changing faith's landscape. The names El Shaddai, Elohim, and YHWH each reveal unique facets of God's nature, weaving a rich tapestry of divine identity that deeply touches the human spirit. El Shaddai, often translated as God Almighty, evokes a powerful, nurturing presence, one who provides, protects, and sustains with overwhelming strength and compassion. Elohim, the majestic plural, emphasizes God's supreme creativity and sovereignty as the creator of all things, inspiring awe and reverence for his infinite power. Yet YHWH, the sacred and ineffable name, unveils the intimate covenantal God who is eternal, self-existent, and unchanging. I am who I am. This name invites believers into a personal relationship, marked by faithfulness and presence. Understanding these distinctions helps viewers grasp the depths of divine revelation, where God is simultaneously transcendent and near, majestic and loving, mysterious and known, calling humanity to worship beyond mere words, touching the heart's core. The question of whether Moses was truly the first to know the name Yahweh, or merely the first to reveal it, invites us into a profound spiritual mystery. Tradition often credits Moses as the moment when God's sacred name was unveiled to humanity, at the burning bush, a divine encounter that changed history. Yet, hidden whispers and ancient clues suggest that Yahweh may have been known in secret before Moses, passed down through forgotten worshippers, priest kings, and sacred encounters long before Israel's formation. Moses' role, then, might not have been discovery but bold revelation, bringing a hidden truth into the open, commanding a new covenantal relationship. This nuance stirs deep emotions, blending wonder, reverence, and curiosity. It reveals how God's timing unfolds perfectly, choosing moments and messengers to illuminate his name and presence, inviting humanity to step from shadows into sacred light with awe and faith. The encoded messages woven throughout God's progressive revelation reveal a divine tapestry rich with mystery and purpose. Each name, story, and encounter is a carefully crafted clue, inviting us to journey deeper into the heart of Yahweh. These messages are not random. They unfold gradually, layer by layer, like a sacred code waiting to be deciphered by attentive souls. Through prophets, dreams, and covenant moments, God reveals himself in ways that challenge, comfort, and transform, reflecting his infinite wisdom and patience. This gradual unveiling stirs powerful emotions, hope amid uncertainty, awe before divine majesty, and longing for intimate connection. Understanding these hidden signals unlocks a profound truth. God's revelation is a living dialogue, a sacred invitation to grow in faith and knowledge. It reminds us that divine truth isn't always immediate but unfolds at the perfect pace, guiding humanity toward ultimate understanding and eternal relationship. In the ancient ruins of Canaan, where enemies of Israel once dwelled, faint but powerful echoes of Yahweh's worship emerge, challenging long-held assumptions. Inscriptions carved into stone whisper of a God whose presence reached beyond Israel's borders, hinting at a faith shared, feared, and revered by those once considered strangers. These discoveries stir deep emotions, wonder at the mystery, awe at the reach of the divine, and curiosity about forgotten histories. The evidence disrupts the idea of a faith confined to a single people, revealing Yahweh's influence amid cultures thought hostile and pagan. It paints a complex picture of worship, conflict, and spiritual overlap, inviting us to reconsider how God's name and power were known and honored in the ancient world. These ancient testimonies open a door into lost connections, reminding us that God's story is woven into unexpected places, bridging divides and igniting hope. The delicate line between syncretism and forgotten truth stirs a profound tension in the heart of ancient worship. Were the traces of Yahweh found among neighboring cultures merely blends of beliefs, diluting pure faith? Or do they reveal a lost, deeper truth, fragments of divine worship scattered and obscured by time and misunderstanding? This question ignites powerful emotions, confusion, hope, and longing for clarity. Syncretism often suggests compromise or distortion, yet what if these echoes reflect genuine encounters with the divine, hidden beneath layers of cultural blending? Could the worship of Yahweh in unexpected places be a silent testimony to an ancient, widespread reverence, forgotten but never fully erased? Wrestling with this mystery invites us to embrace complexity, humility, and wonder, reminding us that God's truth can transcend borders and that divine reality sometimes hides beneath the surface, waiting to be rediscovered and reclaimed with renewed faith and insight. The tension between Yahweh worship and pagan infiltration pulses like a silent battle woven through ancient history, stirring deep emotional currents. This clash wasn't just about gods or rituals. It was a profound struggle for identity, faith, and soul. On one side, the pure, sacred worship of Yahweh called for unwavering devotion, holiness, and covenant loyalty. On the other, pagan influences crept in like shadows, tempting hearts with familiar idols, foreign gods, and alluring customs that diluted divine truth. This tension evokes feelings of heartbreak and resilience, faith tested, communities divided, yet a flame of devotion refusing to die. It reveals the fragile human journey to cling to God's light amid spiritual storms, reflecting timeless challenges we still face today. Understanding this struggle deepens our empathy and awe, reminding us that true worship demands courage, vigilance, and a heart anchored in unwavering faith despite the world's persistent distractions. The question of whether Canaan was once part of Yahweh's wider ancient domain unlocks a haunting and awe-filled mystery. Imagine a land now known for its turbulent history and idol worship, once quietly under Yahweh's reign, its stones whispering forgotten truths and sacred memories buried beneath layers of conquest and time. This idea stirs powerful emotions: wonder at a lost spiritual heritage, sorrow for what was overshadowed, and curiosity about divine plans beyond recorded history. If Canaan was once embraced by Yahweh's presence, it suggests a vast, interconnected faith that transcended borders, cultures, and conflicts. It challenges us to rethink boundaries between enemies and worshippers, illuminating a world where God's influence stretched wider than imagined. This revelation beckons us to rediscover hidden connections and reclaim ancient truths, inspiring hope that Yahweh's kingdom is far more expansive, mysterious, and inclusive than we have dared to believe. Throughout ancient history, there were Gentile nations that once intimately knew Yahweh but later turned away, their stories lost in shadows and silence. These forgotten worshippers walked close to divine truth, their hearts once ignited by the sacred flame of Yahweh's presence. Yet, as time wore on, they drifted into darkness, captivated by false gods, cultural shifts, and the seductive allure of worldly power. This heartbreaking abandonment stirs deep emotions: grief for lost faith, longing for restoration, and a haunting sense of what might have been. Their forgotten devotion reminds us that God's reach extended far beyond Israel, touching diverse peoples whose spiritual legacies vanished beneath waves of history. Understanding their fall teaches us about the fragile nature of faith, the cost of turning away, and the powerful hope that Yahweh's mercy can still revive lost hearts. Their story calls us to cherish, protect, and revive the worship that binds us to the divine. The story of the Tower of Babel, Dispersion, and the loss of true worship echoes with profound tragedy and cosmic consequence. Humanity, united by pride and ambition, sought to build a monument to themselves, reaching skyward to defy God's authority. This act fractured not only language but the very heart of worship. The scattering of nations shattered the shared knowledge of Yahweh, scattering divine truth like seeds in barren soil. This dispersion caused confusion, isolation, and spiritual amnesia, leading many away from authentic worship into fragmented beliefs and forgotten promises. The emotional weight of this loss resonates deeply: hope dashed by human arrogance, unity replaced by division, and sacred connection broken. Yet within this tragedy lies a stirring call to reclaim what was lost, to bridge divides, restore understanding, and revive pure worship. The Babel story warns and inspires, reminding us that true worship demands humility, unity, and a heart devoted to the one true God. Oral traditions carried through generations like fragile whispers, preserving shadowed truths and resemblances to Yahweh long before written records. These stories, passed by word of mouth around flickering fires and under starlit skies, held fragments of divine revelation, echoes of Yahweh's nature, power, and mercy hidden beneath layers of myth and memory. They stirred the hearts of ancient peoples, shaping faith without full clarity, a mysterious tapestry woven from glimpses of the true God. This fragile inheritance evokes a deep emotional response: admiration for human resilience, sorrow for lost purity, and wonder at how sacred truths survived through time's storms. These oral echoes challenge us to see beyond mere stories, recognizing the divine fingerprints scattered across cultures. They call us to seek the hidden God behind fragmented tales, to piece together scattered faith, and to appreciate how Yahweh's presence quietly shaped the spiritual landscape of humanity long before Israel's rise. Ancient myths, often dismissed as mere folklore, may actually be distorted echoes of the worship of Yahweh, faint reflections of a sacred truth twisted by time and culture. These stories, filled with gods, heroes, and cosmic battles, carry hidden remnants of the one true God's presence, concealed beneath layers of misunderstanding and embellishment. This revelation stirs profound emotions: curiosity, awe, and a bittersweet longing for clarity lost through centuries. Recognizing these myths as shadowed fragments challenges our view of history and faith, inviting us to uncover divine messages hidden in unexpected places. It reveals the persistence of Yahweh's influence even in pagan worlds, a spiritual thread that connects diverse peoples despite distance and difference. This insight ignites hope that beneath confusion lies truth waiting to be rediscovered, reminding us that God's story is far grander and more mysterious than we ever imagined, reaching beyond Israel's borders into the heart of all humanity. Before Israel, Yahweh's presence whispered through distant lands, worshipped by scattered souls across the ancient world. But why did Yahweh choose Israel, one fragile nation among many, to carry his name and reveal his purpose? This profound mystery stirs the heart with wonder and awe. Perhaps Yahweh's choice was not about exclusivity, but destiny, a calling to unite fractured humanity through a covenant of faith and obedience. Israel became a beacon, a living testament to Yahweh's eternal love and justice amid a chaotic world. This decision carries deep emotional weight, hope born from divine favor, responsibility heavy with promise, and a sacred trust that transcends time. It challenges us to see God's hand weaving a grand narrative where scattered worshippers find unity and purpose. The great mystery invites us to reflect on faith, identity, and destiny, asking who we are in the story of a God who chose one to bless all. Yahweh's divine strategy unfolds with breathtaking wisdom, a presence once universal, now focused through a chosen nation in a sacred covenant. This transition is more than history. It's a profound spiritual journey that stirs the soul with awe and reverence. From being worshipped across many cultures, Yahweh's choice of Israel became a deliberate act of purpose, shaping a unique relationship that would reveal his character and plan for humanity. This national covenant was not exclusion but invitation, a living example to all nations of holiness, justice, and mercy. The emotional gravity of this divine focus calls us to witness a God who moves from broad mystery to intimate connection, from distant worship to heartfelt allegiance. It reminds us that behind every ancient ritual and prophetic promise lies a careful, loving strategy to draw humanity closer, to heal a fractured world, and to fulfill a destiny greater than any one people, uniting all through his chosen covenant. Israel was never meant to be a closed door but a radiant beacon, a shining light meant to illuminate the darkness for all nations. This powerful truth stirs deep emotions, a small chosen people carrying the weight of divine purpose, tasked with reflecting Yahweh's holiness, justice, and mercy to a fractured world. Israel's calling was not to hoard blessings selfishly but to become a living example, a spiritual lighthouse guiding others toward the true God. This role challenges human pride and exclusivity, revealing a God who embraces inclusion and restoration. The story of Israel as a beacon pulses with hope, responsibility, and grace, showing that divine favor is never about isolation but about drawing others into covenant relationship. This truth resonates across time, inviting us to see Israel's legacy not as a barrier, but as an invitation, an eternal call for all peoples to witness, worship, and walk in the light of Yahweh's love. The prophetic mystery of Yahweh's universal revelation pulses with profound hope and awe, a future where the hidden God is unveiled to all humanity. This sacred promise stirs the heart, echoing through ancient scriptures and whispered in the prayers of countless generations longing for restoration. Yahweh, once known by few, will be recognized by every tribe, language, and nation, breaking barriers that divided and silenced worship. This divine unveiling transcends time, inviting all to partake in a renewed relationship marked by justice, peace, and unshakable faith. The mystery reveals a God who patiently works through history's shadows, preparing the world for a glorious moment when his name shines like the sun, uniting hearts in awe and reverence. This prophecy is not just future hope, it's a present calling to witness, embrace, and participate in the unfolding story of Yahweh's love reaching every corner of creation. The mystery of Yahweh's worship before Israel unravels a breathtaking tapestry of faith that stretches beyond time and culture. From forgotten worshippers to prophetic revelations, this story reveals a God whose presence transcended borders, calling people from every nation to know him. Understanding this profound history invites us to see Yahweh not as distant or exclusive, but as a universal beacon of hope, righteousness, and mercy. As we uncover these ancient truths, we are reminded that the journey to knowing God is ongoing, filled with wonder, mystery, and divine purpose. If this story moved you, inspired curiosity, or touched your heart, please help us continue this journey. Like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it widely. Your support is the lifeblood of our mission, enabling us to bring these powerful stories to life for everyone seeking truth. Thank you for being part of this incredible exploration.